And so let's go ahead and close out here, Chase. We're focusing here back on the draft. We're going to talk draft steals. Who's going to be a player that's going to be a steal of the draft when a team's going to take him here? So I want to go ahead and give you one of my steals here first, real quick. So this is a wide receiver that I really enjoy. Obviously, not top tier receiver, which is why he's going to be one of my steals. But it's going to be Trey Palmer, wide receiver of
Nebraska.
And this is the reason why. So dude is fast.
Yes.
Freaky fast. A 4.33 40. Just a super, super fast guy. One of those going to be a vertical threat to take the top off the defense. That's kind of what his niche is, his only role currently. So it is knocked on him. He doesn't really have a lot of the different route trees that some of these other top wide receivers does. But when he gets open and over the top, you're not going to catch him.
No,
but
that's true.
His 2022 season was probably one of the biggest seasons when he kind of really broke out. He had an 83.6 grade. That was 4th among Power 5 receivers. And he averaged 3.26 yards per route run, which was 3rd among that same group. So, in that year, he really broke out and kind of shows you what the potential he has to do. Also has had 2 return touchdowns, one as a kick return and one as a punt return. So he shows value in the special teams return game as well. So honestly, looking at it, he's reminds me a lot of kind of Tyreek Hill, because that was kind of Tyreek Hill's kind of niche when he came in. It's just a super, super fast guy, not quite developed at the wide receiver position, but when he's able to get the ball, he can run, and obviously in the return game. So that's kind of where I'm at here with Trey Palmer. He has some drop issues for sure, struggles with contested catches, but honestly, Tyreek Hill had that same problems even in his last year at Kansas City. I can't count many times off my hands where he dropped the ball and it was right in his hands. So one of those frustrating things to see. So definitely, I see a lot of potential here with Trey Palmer. We'll see kind of what offense he actually goes to see if they're able to kind of develop him. But I think he's going to be able to come in as be one of those guys, just take the top off the defense, also in the return game, and kind of work his way up as he gets into the league and maybe be a quality player in maybe year 3 or 4 after he's kind of has some time to really develop and get in there.
Yeah, no, I almost had Trey Palmer as one of my sleepers. I remember there's only 2 wide receivers that really tore up that elite Iowa defense, Marvin Harrison, and then that last game before the Big Ten championship, wide receiver Trey Palmer from Nebraska. I'm going to stick with a wide receiver and a Big Ten wide receiver. Actually, this is who I think has the best, just pure hands in the draft, Charlie Jones from Purdue. He had 154 targets for 110 catches, averaged 12.4 yards per route. And you're laughing because I picked a former Hawkeye. But I honestly think Charlie Jones is going to have a role in the NFL as a slot guy. And, not maybe a Jackson Smith-Njigba slot guy, obviously, but I think his hands are phenomenal. He caught everything Aiden O'Connell threw at him. And I'm really thinking Charlie will be a steal, probably like a day 6. He ran pretty good at the combine, showed out elite speed. So I'm pretty high on old Charlie Jones. And he, just like Trey Palmer, he kind of performed at the return game too. He's a guy that doesn't mind getting tackled. There's times that he would just get lit up and he's laughing on the sidelines about it. So you love to see that out of a football player.
Yeah, no, the best thing he did was get out of the Iowa's offense.
Brian Ferentz's offense, absolutely.
And good for him, right? He did the right thing, and I think he balled out, and he's going to get rewarded for it. So definitely like that here. So here we go. So I have my second steal of the draft. We're going to go to the offensive line. I'm going to pick Braden Daniels, offensive tackle out of Utah. Okay. So I was looking at here and I was thinking, about the offensive line, and I came across him. I didn't really watch a lot of Utah. Not really a big Pac-12 guy.
No.
So I really didn't watch a lot of him. So I went back and I was just looking at, some sleepers here, some late round steals. And I really, I saw him and I liked him. I was like, I don't really know this guy. So I looked at it. And so he's played all over. So he's played left guard, he's played right tackle, and he's played at left tackle. So 2 years ago, as left guard and right tackle, he earned second team all conference. And then last season, when he played strictly at left tackle, he earned first team all conference. So he's got all conference awards at 3 positions on the offensive line. So he's going to be somebody who can, adjust, plug and play. If you need to be guard, he can. If you need to be any of the tackle, he can. Super, super athletic as well. So he scored an athleticism score of 80 at the combine, which was ranked 10th out of all offensive tackles. So as far as athleticism go, he's top 10. And that's what served him well as one of the most athletic tackles and someone that played really well. He's only given up 2 career sacks, and he gave up 0 last year when he was specifically just left tackle. So those 2 sacks came when he was playing guard and right tackle. So as a left tackle, he's kept his quarterback clean. And so when I'm looking at that, obviously as a left tackle, that's what you want. You want somebody who's not, pressuring the quarterback and giving up sacks, and he's able to do that. So obviously can improve on run blocking. Phenomenal pass blocking. Run blocking is more of the issue. So if you're more of a run first team, probably wouldn't be the best fit for you. But if you're more pass heavy, I think he's somebody that can come in and then obviously learn from an offensive line coach how to be a better run blocker.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
just his athleticism, the way he's able to be athletic and get out there and protect the quarterback, and as far as the pass rusher goes, I think is going to be a very valuable trait. And so that's where somebody's going to take him. He's going to fall a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him go. I wouldn't be surprised if he's maybe a day 2 pick, but obviously definitely he'll get drafted somewhere in those mid rounds. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's a day 2 pick. But someone's going to sleep on him, and then somebody's going to get him, and I think he'll be a steal.
Absolutely, kind of like Abraham Lucas was for the Seahawks last year, right? He was a guy that didn't really get any hype, came in, and he was one of the better right tackles right off the gate. So my next sleeper in this draft is actually a tight end from Old Dominion, Zach Kuntz. Guy's a 6'7". They listed him as 6'8". I think the combine listed him as 6'7". But this guy is an elite athlete. He actually scored a 10 on the RAS score, the relative athletic score. And he's not as fluent as a catcher, and he's not fluent off the line. He struggles a little bit in his blocking, right? He's not going to be a high tight end taken, but he's a guy that you could take probably in the rounds 5 through 6. And I just like to bet on athletes, and normally you'll see that work out, right? This guy jumps out of the building, is fast for 6'7". It's like Darnell Washington, but a little bit more athletic, less refined. So I think if this guy gets behind a tight end or even a tight end coach that knows what they're doing, can coach this guy up, I think this guy could be a big name in a couple of years. But this guy is probably one of the better athletes. I'd put him probably top 10 athlete wise in this draft, and I think that's always worth at least a pick.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're right. Athletes are gonna athlete, right? And you get somebody in there with just a raw physical talent, athletic ability, you can coach them up and have them perform well. So I think that's a good kind of mindset to have is focus, on athletic people. So my last one here that I got for you, Chase, my last steal of the draft, and you may not consider this a steal, but I think it's going to be a steal for me, just because I think this is a deep class. This is a deep position group. So there's a lot of people ahead of him, which is why he's going to fall. I think if it wasn't so deep, he might go sooner, but I think he's definitely being overlooked. And for me, that's going to be Derek Hall out of Auburn.
Okay.
And so, for me, I was looking, I think he'll definitely be, he's graded around round 2 or round 3. So he's definitely going to go, day 2 early in there. He might fall. Depends on kind of how the draft board shakes out, but just because this is such a deep class, a position group, he might fall out of that. But I look at him and I really liked what I saw. He's one of those players, but it's just super fast. If his first step, if he beats you off the line on that first step, there's no way you can defend him, because he's like you say, he's a freak of an athlete. He can get around the corner on the edge and get after the quarterback. He very good at affecting the quarterback. He had 10 sacks last year, 10 sacks the year before. So he's very familiar with meeting the quarterback, and that's just due to the fact of how fast he is. And so 17.7% pass rush win rate. Arm length is crazy long. and a 4.55 40. So being able to be as as shredded as he is, to run that fast, I just think is a great talent to have on the edge. Obviously, he's not as big. He's more athletic than he is big, so he might get pushed around a little bit. But with him, it's all about timing. And if you can get that first step, if he beats you right off the line, you're not catching him.
Yeah, I agree. I like Darren Hall a lot. And then for my third and final, this is actually probably my favorite draft steal, right? Favorite diamond in the rough, as they say, is cornerback Darius Rush from South Carolina. I think a lot of he's getting overlooked because he's the cornerback 2 there, with Cam Smith being the cornerback 1, and I have Cam Smith the first round grade, rightfully so. So he should be the number 1. But Darius Rush reminds me a lot of Eric Stokes and just his playmaking. Rush is fast. He ran a 4.36 40. He had a 35-inch vertical, which was like third among cornerbacks. A 10-foot 1-inch broad jump. Dude's just an athlete, and I think he just, that South Carolina, they've got a cornerback coach down there that teaches them the fundamentals. You've seen it in J.C. Horn coming out. He was a better athlete than both Smith and Rush, so he went a lot higher. I think he went 8th or 9th. But Cam Smith this year and Darius Rush as well, I think they just know how to play cornerback, right? They know what the wide receivers, when they give them that head nod, they know not to come fake for that, right? They can recover pretty well. Darius Rush, I think, will be a steal. We're looking at like maybe not a Tariq Woolen where picks wise, but I just reminds me a lot of Eric Stokes coming out of college, and Eric Stokes was the first round pick for Green Bay. So I'm very high on Darius Rush.
Very interesting. So that wraps up here at the end of our show with our draft steals, or steals of the draft. So what are your steals of the draft? Who do you think players that are being overlooked are going to slide, that are going to make a difference in the league? It might be household names within the next couple of years.